Salve omnes, it's Magister Compton one last time. We're going to talk about the third and final of the participles, and that's the future active participle. So let's dive into it. Future active participle, what's it look like? You take the fourth principal part, that perfect passive participle from last time. But to make it look different, before the us sound in it, you're going to add that extra UR. So it looks something like this. You got opugnatus, we use that for our example for the perfect passive participle. But I add that extra sound in front of the us. And so now I get opugnaturus. And if I translate it, it's going to mean about to or going to. So in this case, opugnaturus, about to attack or going to attack. About to and going to are interchangeable. There's no rule saying when you have to use one or the other. And this conforms to what future and active would mean. So about to or going to. I'm not currently doing it. That would be present tense. I didn't already do it. That would be perfect tense. I'm about to do it. So it's still somewhere off in the future. It seems a little bit more immediate, or again, going to, again, a bit more immediate than, the usual will, but it's still in the future. And then the noun that is being modified is the noun that's going to be doing the attacking or about to do the attacking. So it is active, all right? Now some verbs already have a fourth part that looks like this. So perfect example would be sum esse fui, futurus. There is no futus. There is no perfect passive participle to this verb. And what that tells you is this verb will never be passive. Since it doesn't have a perfect passive participle for its fourth part, then you couldn't make a passive verb out of it. So this is what we would call an intransitive verb. It can't take a direct object, and therefore it cannot be done to someone by somebody else, which makes sense. In this case, sum is to be. Only you can be. You can't have anyone else be you. So a couple examples of what a participle in a sentence would look like by itself. Here's the famous gladiator salute we talked about back in the gladiator unit. Nos moratori te salutamus. So we, moratori, about to die, te salutamus, salute you. Oftentimes you'll hear moratori translated as who are about to die. Okay, you can do that. That's turning the participle into something more like a clause. You can do that, and you can do that with any of the participles that we've talked about. If you're interested in translating it that way, I can show you how to do that. But for right now, make sure you just have the basic translation down. So in this case, about to or going to. Another example, vir viridis atalantam necaturus ipse ab atalanta necatus est. So vir viridis, a green man. So again, this is back to our sentence from the very first video. Atalantam necaturus. So you see necatur, the sound there. Necaturus coming from the verb neco, to kill. So this would mean about to kill or going to kill. So again, it creates a sense of immediacy. It's not as potentially far-flung like saying will kill, because that can happen anytime in the future. About to creates more of a sense of closeness. This is a very near future. So the green man about to kill Atalanta, ipse ab Atalanta necatus est, himself was killed by Atalanta. One thing I want you to just notice is the organization of the first four words. So vir viridis, that's our subject, the green man. Necaturus modifies that because it's nominative just like vir. But then you've got atalantam in between them. So that's a sign to you that atalantam is supposed to be the object of necaturus. Because like a normal sentence, you have the noun that's being modified, which is kind of like your subject, vir viridis. You have necaturus, the action, so kind of like a verb. And then in between the subject and the verb, you have the predicate, in this case, atalantam, a direct object. That's going to be pretty normal whenever you have something following from the participle. So again, if there's a space, if there's a gap between the noun and the participle, whatever is filling in that gap is probably meant to be the predicate of the participle and follows from its meaning. If there's no gap, like we see with nos moratori, it's just an adjective modifying a noun, or in that case, a pronoun. Okay. One other thing I want to say about the future active participle: you will not often see it by itself. You may be familiar with this form because we used it in the future active infinitive. We took nekatoris and then added esse to it. Okay? Your book tends to use the future active participle really as the future active infinitive. So you'll see indirect statements that are meant to be future, and you'll see the future active participle, but there won't be an esse. Okay? So we don't usually use this by itself. Doesn't mean you can't do it, it's just that it's not very common. One other thing you can do with a future active participle is you can pair it with another form of sum, not esse, not the infinitive, but with any other form of sum. And it creates this thing called an active paraphrastic. Real easy to translate, because all you would do is you would translate whatever the form of sum is you have. So let's say it was est. And then you would translate the future active participle like it's a future active participle. So let's say viridis adelantam nekaturis est. We would then say the green man est is nekaturis, about to kill Atalanta. So nekaturus est would be an active paraphrastic. Again, it creates a more immediate sense of future, as opposed to, say, nekabed, the green man will kill her. So, that could be minutes from now, days from now, who knows. About to kill makes it sound like it's going to happen right now. All right? So that's the main reason why we have this future active participle. If we want to express a closer future than some vague out there future, then this participle is a great way to do that. All right, so now you've got all three: the present active, the perfect passive, and the future active. We're going to see examples of this in our book. We're going to see examples of Magistrula. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Go back and look at these videos on your own time. And with that, valete omnes.